All right, so what we're going to be talking about today is something called the law of sines. So last class we talked about the area of a non-right triangle, right? So we're going to kind of extend from that to law of sines. Now, what law of sines allows us to do is it allows us to find a missing side or a missing angle, given the information that we already have about the triangle. Okay, so we're going to do quite a few examples of that today. We're going to spend tomorrow on it as well. So we'll be doing this kind of thing for like the next week and a half, probably. All right, so law of sines can be written two different ways. It is on your reference sheet. So two ways we can write it. It can be A over sine of A. Okay. Equals B over sine of B. And it equals C over sine of C. Now, who can tell me the difference between uppercase and lowercase? Very good. Lowercase represents a side, uppercase represents an angle. Are we cool? Lowercase represents the side of a triangle, uppercase represents the angle of a triangle. Okay. Now, when we're using law of sines, we actually don't set up 3 fractions, we only set up 2. We're going to be building proportions. Okay. The reason we have 3 here is because we have how many sides in a triangle? 3. So depending on the information we have is how we're going to decide what portion of this that we're going to use. Now, it's proportion. So what's the other way that this can be written? Huh? There's another way I can write this. Does it have to be oriented like that? How it's going to be written? Well, we will eventually be, but no, not in this case. What about if I did this? Would that be okay? Why? Sure, if I put all the signs on top, that's fine, right? Isn't it the same thing? Right? Okay, we can do that then. So it doesn't matter which way you choose to orient it, it's going to be the same, okay? Just as long as both of your angles are on top and both your sides are on the bottom, or vice versa. Okay, you can't have sine A over A equals B over sine B. It has to be the same. Okay. Are you guys okay with that? Okay. So how many of you remember how to work with proportions from geometry? Everybody should, right? You all know how to cross multiply. So that's essentially what we're going to be doing. So the trick is figure out what you have and what you need and where you get the stuff from. Okay? So let's go to the next page. In triangle ABC, shown below, BC is 16. The measure of angle A is 80 degrees. The measure of angle B is 68 degrees. And the measure of angle C is 32 degrees. Determine the lengths of AB and AC to the nearest tenth. So if you want to draw that triangle into your notebook, that would be great. If not, you don't have to. Okay, now, does it matter that we're using AB and AC instead of, let's say, C and B? Does it make a difference? No. Okay, remember, A, B, and C, our triangles aren't always going to be labeled A, B, and C. So those are just variables. You have to be comfortable with whatever there is. Okay? Now, where would I locate side C? Where is side C? Side C is equivalent to which one of these? AB. Why? It's opposite of angle C. Okay, side C is opposite angle C. So where is side B? AC. It's opposite angle B. Okay. So if you want to use this in your calculator, you can open a text box and put it in there. Okay. All right, so you have to remember that. You have to remember that opposite side, opposite angle, okay? All right, now which one do you want to solve for first? It's up to you. You pick. B. Let's solve for B first. All right, so now the goal is to find B. Law of sines is all about opposites. Okay, so we want side B. We have angle B. What other side do we have? A. What angle do we have? A. Okay, so it's all about opposites. Remember, we're setting up a proportion, right? So we want to use opposites. We want to set up a proportion with those opposites. So you have sine of the angle over its side equals the sine of the angle over its side. You're using those proportions. Okay, so let's set it up. Okay, so we're looking for AC, right? So we said we're using opposites. Using opposites. So who thinks they can tell me how to set up this proportion? What do you got, Katie? 16 over the sine of 80. That's good, but you got to have that sine in there, okay? Okay, keep going. B over sine of 68. And don't forget, you need to have that equal sign in between because what are we setting up? Proportion. Good. Okay. So what do you think we're going to do from here? Good, cross multiply. All right, walk me through it. I would say B sine of 80, yeah. Good. Okay. Nah. Good. What are we solving for again? B. So what do I need to move? How? Divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by sine of 80. Now what are you going to do? Yeah, okay, now we're going to use our calculator. Please insert calculator page. Do not use Scratchpad. Okay, so insert calculator page and see what you get. And everybody should be doing it. Okay. So we've got some people with different answers. I'm not sure why not everybody's on a calculator page here. So if you're not, please get there. I've got 15.06. I've got 14.45. 15.06. All right, so a lot of people are getting 15.06. Let's talk about this one. What do you think? Or it's is it typed incorrectly? Sure. It's because you're in radians. Very good. Because we're talking in terms of degrees, you got to make sure that your settings are correct. Awesome. Good. Okay, so you want to make sure that your calculator is in degrees. So why don't you go ahead and adjust that to degrees for us? And now you get the correct answer. Okay? Are we okay with that? Awesome. All right, so we found B. Now, it said to what? How did I want it counted? Okay, now, tell me why I'm doing that. It's an approximation. Is it equal to 15.1? No, it's approximately 15.1. So please make sure that you're using the appropriate sign, okay? It's not equal to. It's an approximation. It's a decimal. That's still an approximation. Yeah. Yes. You should do that. That's a good question. Okay, so the next one I want to find is side C, right? So I'm looking for side C now. Okay, so now we have a little bit more possible information to use. My suggestion is to use the side of the angle that's already given to us instead of the one we found. Anybody know why we should do that? Yeah, that was an exact value, where this one is a what? That's an approximation. Okay, so better to use the one that already exists so that we can get a more exact solution. Okay, so I want you to see if you can do this one on your own. Set up your proportion. Remember, you're looking for opposites. So if you want to draw the triangle and do the crisscross like I did, that's great. Do it. Okay, so figure out what side. See, it's more fun in a second. Okay, who wants it? I'm not doing it. Somebody's coming up and doing it. If you don't volunteer, I'm going to offer you up. Brittany wants to do it. She's looking at me. Go on. Yes, absolutely. I want you to talk as you do it, because you have to learn to describe and explain. So go ahead. Start explaining to me what you're doing.
The opposite side to be the 16 over the sine of 80. And you're going to set it equal to the b over sine of 68.
Okay, we're using B again?
Or C.
C. Eraser.
Hang on. Let me just do that backwards.
No, you're good.
No, no.
No, you're not. You're doing the last one we did.
I'm
Okay. Am I making you nervous by staring at you? Okay. Keep going. Good. How are we doing so far, guys? Good? She explaining it appropriately? I don't hear anything from her. Okay. You're okay. That's fine. Just make sure you do a double. Good. Nice job.
divide by
Okay. Divide what by the sine of 80?
everything.
Okay.
Both sides.
Good.
They cancel out on the left.
Great job.
And put it into the calculator. Can I write mine down?
Please. Ha, nice catch. Good. Good. How many of you got 8.6? Good. What do we do? Do we? Okay, so again, we're using those opposites, right? So we're looking for C, so we have to use the angle opposite of C. You have this already, so you use it. Oops. Okay, so you're always going opposite. So if it helps you to draw that crisscross, draw it out. Okay? You could, but remember we were just talking about, yeah, you could use B, but the issue with B is, what is it? It's an approximation. You want as exact as possible. So if you use the one that was already given to you, you're not building off of an approximation. Okay, so you want, if you can, you're not always going to be able to, but if you can, you're going to use what's already there. Okay? How are we doing? Good? Why are we so quiet today? It's freaking me out a little bit. Time change. Everybody's tired, right? I think I'm a little sleep deprived and I'm a little loopy. Okay, where am I? So let's look at the next one. You guys are doing an awesome job. In triangle DEF, shown below is DE is 20. Measure of angle E is 45. Measure of angle F is 30. And we're going to find the length of DF in exact simplest form. What's my keyword? What does that mean? No approximations. I want radicals. I want fractions, right? Okay, so are we going to put it into our calculator? No, we're not. Okay, you got to know your stuff here. So go ahead. You know what side you're looking for, right? What side is DE? What's another way to say DE? Well, I meant, yeah. Okay, what's another way to say DF? Lowercase e. Okay, so there's what you're looking for. So draw your crisscrosses if you need to. Figure out what you're going to use and what you are finding. Okay, So go ahead and give it a shot, and we'll come back together in a second. Let's take a peek. All right, so we had 6 people say 20 radical 2. Awesome job. 10 radical 2, 5 radical 2, and 40 times radical 2 over 2. Help me out with this one. What's 40 times radical 2 over 2? What can happen here? What do I know about these two things? They're the same. Why? Yeah, 40 times radical 2 over 2 is 40 radical 2 over 2, right? What's 40 divided by 2? 20 radical 2. So they're equivalent, right? It's not in simplest form, which is going to be your issue. Okay, so you'll lose a point for not having it in simplest form. But 20 radical 2 is correct. So let's take a peek at how we do that. Hello. Where are you? Okay. Just kidding. All right, so we're looking for this over here, right? So you're doing e over sine of 45 equals 20 over sine of 30. That should say sine, not sim. Apologize. Cross multiply. E equals sine of 30. No. E times sine of 30 equals 20 times sine of 45. Now, I, from here, adjusted for my, put in my equivalences. What's sine of 30? A half. So this is a 1/2 e equals 20 times sine of 45. What's sine of 45? Radical 2 over 2. Okay. How do I get rid of the half? Yeah, multiply both sides by 2. Right? What happens? Yeah, my 2's simplify. And I'm left with e equals 20 radical 2. Okay, so you're going to get ones that say to place it in the exact form, so get used to seeing that. Your homework tonight is pages 6 and 7. You do not have to do numbers 7 and 8 on page 7. Those are going to be included in tomorrow night's homework, okay? I lied. Your homework is pages 4 and 5, except for numbers 7 and 8 on page 5. Apologize. So page 4 and 5, except numbers 7 and 8 on page 5. Those will be included in tomorrow night's homework. You should have already done 2 and 3. Expect me to check 2 through 5 tomorrow. Okay. You should get a new weekly project that is going to be due Friday. And don't forget, I did say you can expect to have little pop quizzes here and there, so don't be surprised if one pops up this week. Understood? All right.